What's going on, people? Good morning. Happy Monday. Welcome to United View. Welcome to another episode of your latest Manchester United news, your latest Manchester United happenings and updates. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you've had a good weekend. Let us know where you're watching from. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. I can see. Look at them. Big up the UV family. Morning, says Gary. Mount is pretty much ready to come back, says CH. We're going to talk about some of the right-wing situations as well. Daniel Luciano says, morning, UV fam. It's freezing, freeze at the start. Gary Neville, ooh, freeze at the start. What was there a freeze? Was I frozen? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Maybe it was.
I think that'll probably come later on. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. That is coming. Morning, Flex and Owen, says Daniel Luciano. Simon McGill says Glazers out, 100%. Proud by Palermo says, morning, lads. Big up, Flex. And Owen says, John James, good morning, guys. Says Kenny Steve. So you guys are checking in. Everyone's getting their morning coffee, getting their
that
chocolate
is a
or
freeze.
tea or whatever.
Oh, now you're back. You did freeze for a second there, Flex. You did a little bit. Now you came back. Flex has been having some technical difficulties this morning. You know, the camera setup's not really big camera in. You know what I mean? There's been some sort of tricks, you know, to fix some things behind the scenes.
Ooh,
but it'll be fine.
It'll be fine. I think it's just a start up. No, you just old school cars, start up. I mean, let the cogs start turning in the machine. We'll be okay. But we are going to be talking about Ten Hag's right wing dilemma. Who's going to start? A lot of people talking about Palestri in the aftermath of the show we did yesterday, and online it's all going off. Everyone's got loads of opinions on this. Bruno potentially having to go wide. Maybe it could be Garnacho. Surely couldn't be Rashi, but we've got to talk about that. Ten Hag's midfield plan as well, because like someone did say a couple of moments ago, that Mason Mount is nearing a return, maybe more for the Bayern Munich game, but there's a slim chance. Apparently, he could be ready for Brighton, but we will wait and see. Amrabat as well. What is the plan? If they're all kind of coming back from fitness at the same time, what's the plan? Also, if you think about it, Christian Eriksen's been doing fine.
Brilliant.
As well. You know, brilliant. So, yeah, we need to talk about that as well. And, of course, the international break as a whole. And, of course, there's always stuff rumbling on with the Sancho talks. But, Owen, who starts for you, though? Who starts?
Well, I tell you what, this is that's an important question, but an even more important question from Job here. It says, Owen, did you find the spider? I have an update on this. I do have an update on this. We have found the spider maybe like a day later. And I'm pretty sure it was the same spider. It was about a day later. It was hidden in the skirting board. And there was a lot of conversation as to, is that the same spider?
It could be anyone. It could be anything.
It could be another one. It was similar size and in the same vicinity as the incident in question happened. So most likely, if I was to do like a police lineup, pick the spiders out, I'd say, wow, given the circumstantial evidence and the incident in question, I think this is the spider, and it has been dealt with. Because no spider clings to my leg twice when I wake up first thing in the morning, okay? No spider, not at all. So it's been sorted. It's been dealt with. No problem. No bother.
I honestly, you don't even know what spider it was. How mad that is. Nah, mate.
I know, and
you're on your own on that.
You know, as you get in from the sort of summer into the autumn, which is how we're sort of getting at this point into September, they start to come indoors, don't they? They start to come indoors because it's getting colder outside, warmer inside. So, you know, be ready. That's what I'll say. And I was ready, and I had my vengeance, and that's important. You asked me the initial question.
Yes.
I believe was who plays on the right, who should start on the right. It should be Facundo Palestri, Flex. It should be Facundo. I don't think it will be Jadon Sancho. It's going to be really interesting. I just think if Jadon Sancho is going to be in the squad, let alone the starting 11. I mean, I think the starting 11's a write-off. The squad's a more interesting one because possibly, given the circumstances, maybe an apology, maybe time will pass, maybe he could be on the bench, maybe. But I don't think even that's that likely, to be honest with you. I don't think he'll be in the squad. My concern is, I'm saying Facundo, something in me, and maybe it's the spider that clung to my leg. Something in me.
There is a poll in the chat, by the way.
Something is saying to me that maybe he might go, maybe put Bruno out there. Maybe put Bruno out. And do you know why? Do you know why, Flex? Because it could accommodate in that what he might say is, Well, I'll put Bruno out there because, experience, Brighton, tough game. Do want to throw Palestri in there? 2,
100%.
how do we get Amrabat, Casemiro, and Eriksen into the same side? Put Eriksen as a 10. Put Eriksen as the 10, Bruno on the right. Then I can play Amrabat and Casemiro. There's enough excuses there for Ten Hag to sort of make that happen, which is my worry, because I don't want to see Bruno anywhere near the right-hand side again, but I think he might. What say you?
Yeah, just quickly, someone did say, let me attach a name to that. That is rude of me. There you go. It's Ridwan. Ridwan says, is Mount not an option as right wing? In the long term, I say long term, I know that's not what we want him to be, but yes, definitely is an option. But I think because he was injured, I didn't put him in the poll, and I ran out of
Why doesn't he? They're saying Bayern, aren't they? They're saying Bayern. Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. But for me, I do think Ten Hag. But how fit's Amrabat? I don't think he'll be able to start. That's the question. Either. So
unless it's a 45,
and you don't fancy 60. McTominay.
You know,
I don't think he's forcing McTominay in. Doesn't rate him. I think Bruno.
It's the game as well, isn't it? Because it's the opponent. But if it was if it was a lesser side than Brighton, I think he'd go, I put Facundo there. But Brighton's a tough one. And it's not it's not even just necessarily the attacking stuff. What does he like out of Antony? He likes the defensive work. And what doesn't he like out of Jadon Sancho? Again, it's the defensive work. It's the stuff off the ball, tracking back. And I think in his mind, there might be an element of trust. Can I trust you to do the defensive work? Can I trust you to support your fullback? Can I trust you to help out Aaron Wan-Bissaka because he's going to be going up against Matoma the whole game and it's going to be a whole duel again, but there's going to be other players that are going to be involved. Can I trust you to do that? And he might think, well, maybe I'll go with Bruno. And like I said, depending on the Amrabat situation, which we don't know, he might sort of say, look, I need 2 destroyers in there.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I just don't think Amrabat starts. I don't know if he's gonna be fit enough. He's didn't complete. He had to come back as a precaution. I know, but I don't think he starts against Brighton. I don't think he's gonna be ready to. I think he's gonna be on the bench. So I think what will happen is he might start Palestri and then take him off, or would he upset the balance? Would he dare put Garnacho out there? Nah, can't do that. Yeah, we might be overthinking that. You never know. He might just... Yeah, I think he might do that. And then Amrabat can come on second half. So obviously, if it's not going well for Garnacho, you can get him out of there. You might do... There's so many... I think this is really even. I just think Sancho definitely starts. That's why I'm sure. Definitely doesn't start, sorry. What I was thinking is, I know it's been a bit rocky with him and McTominay, but does he go McTominay, Eriksen, Casemiro, and put Bruno on the right? But it would literally be McTominay out the cold, because he hasn't really been playing him.
But he played in international football this week and did very, very well. He always does well for Scotland.
He does well, yeah. So could Ten Hag do that?
He was involved pretty much in pre-season, wasn't he? It wasn't like he was out of pre-season. So
it's like what DK says there. If Amrabat doesn't start, then I can't see Bruno on the right wing with Mount injured. Exactly that. Like if Amrabat doesn't start, midfield options are you have to go out of what we've got. Like I said, apart from bringing McTominay out of the cold, you've got to go, and you can't include Donny van der Beek. So you've got to go Eriksen, Bruno, Casemiro, and that midfield actually was doing all right against Arsenal. So it has to be. It has to. Against Brighton, we need our best midfield. Yeah, we need our best midfield. I think it'll be between Palestri, Garnacho to play there, I think.
Well, also as well, this is something we kind of forget, don't we? Is that I was watching back the highlights of when we played Liverpool at Old Trafford last year, the other day, just because for me, that was such a big pivotal point in Erik ten Hag's career, right? Because the 2 losses to start the season, then everyone was going into that game, we're going to lose and all that kind of stuff. It was a great atmosphere that night, wasn't it? And I forgot, because I guess based on what he's been doing with Forest recently, it kind of triggered my mind a little bit. Anthony Elanga started that game. He started that game and he hit the post. And
yeah, he did.
several months later, if you'd have said, Anthony Elanga starting at Old Trafford against Liverpool, what's Eric Ten Hag thinking? So he's not opposed to starting those young players in those sort of games. And that's a much bigger game, Liverpool, Old Trafford, than Brighton. So, I mean, maybe we are overthinking it. Maybe it's just Pellistri. I mean,
put him in.
When it was deadline day or the day before, forget when it was, there was that report. I think it was Laurie Whitwell came out and just basically went, Pellistri staying. He's had talks of Ten Hag, he's staying. He's not going out on loan. And everyone at the time went, oh, okay. If he's had talks, then maybe there's some form of guarantee. And that was a bit of a precursor to the Arsenal stuff. Maybe Ten Hag saw what happened with Sancho that week and went, no, I'm keeping Pellistri. I need Pellistri. I need what's going on with that. I don't know if he could envisage what else was going to happen regarding Anthony and all that kind of stuff. But like everyone's saying, give Facundo a chance. Why not? It's not as if when he has come on and played for us, we go, tell you what, he's well out of his depth. Well out of his depth. He plays at international level too, convincingly. So now's the time. And what's football all about, Flex, when you succeed? It's all about opportunity and chance. Look how Marcus Rashford started his career at United, based off a lot of people injured. At the last minute, he worked his way on. We could be talking in 2 or 3 months' time going, it was a lot of circumstances led to it and a lot of absences and a lot of drama, obviously. But what an opportunity. And Facundo Pellistri's grabbed it. And now we don't need to go get another right winger. We don't need anything. We found the solution. It was there all along. Sometimes you don't know what you've got.
And the thing is with Facundo, it's like, he's not, I don't think he's like going to be like a wow X factor player. But what I tend to like about him, I don't know what you guys think, is that I just think he will do all of the simple things correctly. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's very steady. He works hard. He's direct and can go on the outside. He's more of a traditional winger. Doesn't come inside a lot, does he? Really doesn't try and come in on his left foot. And he's not an inverted winger. He's an old school winger, throwback winger, who can get past people, who can cross. And I think he does a lot of like just simple passes, like just keeping the ball, just keeping the ball. And then when it's the time to go at my man, kick it past him and run, or be direct, make runs in behind, like he does it. And I know the sample size is fairly small. And I look at him, I don't think he's a Garnacho type. Like Garnacho is very direct, always looking to cut in. Can he go left? Can he go right? Can a couple of step overs? Like he's got a bit of X factor about him. But in terms of a steady, calm head, actually for a replacement for Anthony, he's just going to do the basics quite well. I think Facundo fits that bill. And if it doesn't go well, and he's still young, he still might get a bit nervous or whatever, of course we can change it. But I just think he deserves a chance. Tekas Fidei says Pellistri ain't even better than Elanga. Why are you man getting gassed about him? And Pellistri has never scored in the Prem. He's never been given a chance like Elanga. Elanga scored a few. Prem? I don't even think he has.
I don't know if he's
so there's no sample size, bro. I don't think it's a question of gassing up Pellistri. I think it's looking at and saying the kid deserves a chance. Like, also, especially with our decimated with injuries, and you're going to mess up our whole midfield by putting Bruno on the right. And then what's going to happen in midfield? Like, just give him a chance.
Again, you look at Elanga. How did he get his opportunity in the Man United first team? It was based on poor performances, nobody being available in the Ralph Rangnick time, realistically, wasn't it? And even when he first started playing for Ollie, that was like, I'm playing the kids. And he kind of stood out a little bit then, didn't he? But his sort of prolonged run in the side was due to sort of chaos at the club. That's why I say, like, unfortunately at United, it's not like this really at other clubs, but at United it certainly is. We talk about how we bring through youth players, but a lot of them they just get their chance just by circumstance. You know what I mean? People get injured, or there isn't this sort of long-term plan. Okay, we're going to start bedding them in now. Occasionally you get it, people like Kobbie Mainoo, kind of what it felt like in pre-season, didn't it? With him, that there was like a phased plan with him.
Yeah, deliberate.
But sometimes it's not. And Facundo Pellistri, maybe he's not the total right answer, but we don't have many answers at the moment as well.
Because he's a weird one. He doesn't look like Garnacho coming through, where it's really exciting and oh my god, direct. Doesn't look like a Martinelli really raw at the beginning. Like he just looks steady already, like just calm, like not trying to do too much, And look, it could backfire. We could start. I mean, we go, yeah, he's not playing too well, is he? Yeah, better get him out. Like, no one's saying like he's the savior. No one's saying
like he's going to come in.
You idiot! Why has he never played? You can clearly see he's our best right winger, and he don't. It's like roll the dice. You're never probably going to get a better chance now to roll the dice, like you said, apart from playing someone difficult. But it's the Premier League, man. Like, most games are difficult. I know we're a fortress at Old Trafford, but you've seen the first 2 games. Think of it this way: you would have went, if we had the same sort of injuries, you would have went, oh, Wolves at home, oh, Forest at home. I'll tell you what, that's where you start Pellistri. But yeah, he would have been in a game where we were 2-0 down after 4 minutes. Do you know what I mean? Against Forest. So there are no perfect scripts to this thing. I agree with what you're saying. There is no trying to shelter the player. And the worst thing you can do with young players, I think, if you're trying to bring them in, of course you need to exercise a bit of caution. But the worst thing you can do, I think, is prolong and prolong and prolong, because the anxiety builds up. You know, the pressure builds up. You just got to throw him in, sink or swim. If you start sinking, mate, I'll get you out. Don't worry. Go and give me what you can.
Also, as well, like, I just look at, he's played 13 times for Uruguay, so
that's pressure.
He's experienced
World Cup.
on a national stage. He plays regularly for his country, and I can understand. You could say, wow, you know, options might be a bit limited with Uruguay and all that kind of stuff, but still, he's good enough with a variety of different managers. Now, Marcelo Bielsa manages Uruguay, so good coaches seemingly recognize his talent and what he brings. And when he has come on too. Has he impressed? Yeah, he's impressed. Not like a Garnacho comes on completely set the world alight or anything like that, but he has impressed. He's got assists when he's come on. And like you said, what I like the most about him is just that he's different to some of the other wingers that we've got, particularly in that position where he's willing just to hit the line, try and go past someone, try and get a ball into the box, not always cut inside every single time. He's less predictable. Now, granted, he might be less predictable just because people have seen less of him. So they're like, well, what are we going to get? What are we expecting? Maybe if he plays a prolonged period for United, suddenly he'll become more predictable to these fullbacks. I don't know. But I like that, you know, I like that he's quick. I like that, like you said, he's more a traditional winger. And I'm thinking with some of the games we've got coming up, Brighton and Bayern Munich, the success realistically might be on the counter-attack. And I look at a front three of, let's say, Rashford, Højlund and Pellistri, which is funny because, I don't know, like 18 months ago, if you said that was a front three for United, you'd have got a lot of who?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm looking at, you know, 3 people that are fast and can probably play on the counter-attack and get balls into the striker, which I think is what we'll probably need in those games too. And particularly, like we said with Højlund, as much as he looked good when he came on against Arsenal, it was only 30 minutes. Time will tell when it comes to him. But as we've always said,
touch the ball that much. It was more off the ball, running, being powerful,
it was, exactly. Proactive. And he still needs the service. He still needs the service. It doesn't. We've seen, you know, yes, it helps that someone's a natural in that position. We've been crying out for a natural number 9, can play with their back to goal, can hold up the ball, can help facilitate and service the people around him, which he can do. You've seen he's able to do that in just a few minutes, but he also needs service too. When he makes those runs in the middle of the box, or he makes those near post runs, or tries to go past the defender in the box, the ball needs to be there for him to put it in the back of the net. I was watching his goals that he scored for Denmark. The majority of them, Flex, are in and around sort of the 6-yard box, penalty spot, all balls in. You know what I mean?
That's not a Man United forte.
No, no. I was thinking that as well. I was thinking, oh, that's some good service. But that's where Ten Hag gets involved and says to those people, look, you got to get the ball in there. It's a bit like the Erling Haaland thing, isn't it, with City? They'll go, he doesn't touch the ball, and then he does, and he scores. Well, his service is fantastic, isn't it? You know, he can score all types of goals, but quite a few of the goals are in the box because, again,
he knows another chance is coming along very, very soon. You know, and that is it. Just like how Rashford was direct against Forest and went past Aurier and just crossed it with his left foot, and Eriksen scored. That's what we need. We need the wingers to start doing that. And actually, Rashi still did get quite a bit of criticism in that game in terms of the overall 90 minutes. But his best work was going down the outside of fullbacks. You know, look how he won that penalty as well. Taking him down the outside, not looking to cut in. Take him down the outside because you're quicker than most. Rashford's going to be quicker than 95% of fullbacks that he plays against. Really?
And it's not to say he can't cut in, because there'll be moments for it.
Choose the moments.
That's how he scored his goal against Arsenal. You know,
exactly.
In, but
that was from the counter attack on the run. You're on your bike. But when you get the ball in a proper build up where we're building up in the midfield, we're keeping the opponents high. We're playing high up, keeping opponents penned in, which happens a lot at Old Trafford. And then it's pass, it's probe. And then you kind of get it in an isolation. It's like, what do? Do you pass it back, or do you try and beat him down the line when you've got more time? That's where he just needs to be direct. Of course, sometimes, drop a shoulder, cut in, bang. Yeah, I'm not saying don't do that. But what I did like about that Forest game was that Rashi was actually less selfish in that game. He was trying to make chances for others rather than just cutting, head down, taking mad shots, So I want to see him do more of that. You're right, because when we got Højlund playing, that's exactly what he needs.
He's going to be making those penalty spot runs, isn't he? We saw it against Arsenal, those ones where he gets his head down, sprints into the box, waits around a penalty spot, 6-yard box, and he's just waiting and assuming ball's going to come across or tap it in.
He did one on Gabriel. He did one where he completely lost him. He done an in and out kind of move, classic striker move, classic box in the box. Take your defender one way, bang, drop the shoulder, and off you go.
Exactly. And one of his goals for Denmark, he scored in the Euros qualification, was similar to that way. Makes a run off one shoulder, and the defender goes that way, cuts back. He's got the space, but again, the movement's great, the run's great, but you need the ball. You need the ball in, and that's going to be interesting because Rashford doesn't do that. Like historically that much. I mean, people point out to the game against Arsenal that there was that opportunity, wasn't there, to put the ball across, and that's one incident. In those high-profile games, you sometimes will only get one chance to do that, so you've got to make sure it counts. But I think that will come with playing with him more often. In fairness, because let's face it. I mean, there's an argument to be made when he played with people like Cavani. Cavani would have that kind of movement. Cavani was like a movement striker, wasn't he, in the box, making those runs past the defenders? And, did he get some of the service that he may have required? Maybe. I'm not sure. But that will just have to be something that Rashford adjusts to. But going back to Pellistri, though, he will do that. He will get the ball across goal. Like, he's not going to be too, Rashford's hero. Like, I want to go score the goal. No, let's get the ball across goal to Højlund. So,
not to overthink, though. He will be up against Estepinian as well. Ten Hag might look at that. You could look at it two ways. You could look at it and say, well, Bruno's definitely not going to go past Estepinian. But, he's a bit more, he's more experienced to keep the ball. He'll know when to come in. It's a different type of... When Bruno plays right wing, he's redundant as a winger. You're never going to get the ball going past someone.
That's the thing with Bruno.
It's awful. Right, I know.
It's just, you're basically like... You're weighing up defensive versus attacking and sort of saying, I'm willing to forgo anything attacking just for the defense, because he just doesn't do. The thing is with Bruno, isn't it, is that the best thing with him is that he's involved. Even if he's not playing well, he's involved, and he'll try and play himself out of playing badly if he's having a bad game. He'll keep going, and eventually he'll get something going, and he'll do a good pass. You go, right, or he'll do a good shot or score a goal, and you go, I tell you what, Bruno, apart from, how many times have we said, I tell you what, Bruno, today, apart from that assist or apart from those goals, he was all over the place, but he just keeps playing. He keeps getting involved. The worst thing you can do with Bruno is make sure that he's not involved. And when you put him literally on the periphery of the game, the periphery of the pitch, the right-hand side, he doesn't get involved that much, or eventually he starts going, the natural game is to come central. So then suddenly there's just this gap on the right. And it's not as if we've got this, free-flowing fullback that's going to be doing massive overlaps and runs and kind of acting as a right winger by proxy, because Dalot or Wan-Bissaka, whoever plays, and it'll most likely be Wan-Bissaka because Dalot will be on the left. They're not going to do that, are they? They're just not. So that right-hand side just becomes a bit redundant, realistically, doesn't it? So I hope he doesn't do that. I really do. I mean, the question actually, I suppose, Flex, is Pellistri starting against Brighton. That one's possible, and if it doesn't happen, you'll be a little bit surprised. You'll be like, oh, actually, I thought he'd do it. The real interesting one, away at Bayern Munich, who does he play on the right-hand side then? That's the really interesting one. I'll tell you that. Because you wouldn't think he'd do Pellistri then, would he?
He might just, I think that's where, if we can go more economical, it will be Bruno on the right, Amrabat, Casemiro, Eriksen, or might
is it Mount by that point?
McTominay. Mate, if Mount's back, then yeah. But how long can Mount last? I think we're to last the whole game. Coming back, first game by Munich away. So he might tamper with that. I don't think he'd be scared to bring in McTominay for that as well. I wouldn't be.
Or Amrabat by that point.
That's what I'm saying. I think firstly it'd be Amrabat, Casemiro, Eriksen, Bruno on the right. I think that would be his go-to.
You're saying there's no chance Sancho will start by that point?
Oh yeah. Start. So he did train the week, but he just said that, well, we're assuming that he trained all week. It's not like he got banned from training. I think we would have known that.
No.
So let's assume he trained all week for the Arsenal game, but based off of his whole training, Ten Hag went no.
Yeah.
Because I'm saying, how unfit is he? He's not like he just needs weeks and weeks to build back up. He's still ready to. He's been training. Ten Hag just said not good enough. So he should be able to be back in the squad.
Maybe this week,
why not?
Maybe this week he gets a bit of the Ronaldo treatment of, right, you're training with the 21s this week. You've got to face the I know you've apologized and all this kind of stuff, but this is what it is. You're missing the Brighton game. Like, that's just what's happening. You'll be back in the squad.
Start, but then he won't. Yeah, but if he comes back in the squad, he won't start at Bayern. No chance.
But what if, let's be honest, what if we play Brighton, Palestri starts, we have our best performance of the season, we win convincingly, 2-0, 3-0. He's got to then start Palestri. You can't change it, even though it's away at Brighton, away at Bayern Munich, can he? Because we'd all be like, we'd all be like, pick that same 11.
Don't matter what we're
Eric doesn't like changing it. Eric does not like changing
even that, Owen, even if Palestri does do well against Brighton, and I want him to, you're right. And I'd love for him to go Bayern Munich. And then, oh my God, we've unveiled this kid. Look, Lee, see, he was the answer the whole time. Bayern away, you need to be ready, man. You can't experiment there. You can't. First game in the Champions League group stage as well. It's not like it's near the end when we're ready through and we're pretty much second. Just go for it. Just want to make sure we don't get battered.
We've lost first games before.
Yeah, just nah.
We're not Let's face it, we're not expected to win that game anyway.
No, that's a lot of pressure on the young kid. I don't know. Nah. Listen, you play for Man United, like I say, Sinkles for a minute.
Loophole that.
Should my God. No, you can't ask that question because
why not?
We ain't even got to Brighton. He probably ain't even going to start against Brighton.
My point was more hypothetical. Hypothetical. If he plays against Brighton and we win and we do well,
do you then start him against Brighton
after that?
Fearless young kid at the Allianz. What's he got to lose off the back of doing well against Estepinian? I think that's a big ask. I don't think Ten Hag will want that much heat on him. Unless, like you said, he is beyond belief against Brighton where Ten Hag goes.
Yeah, but he probably won't be beyond belief. But I just mean more like,
Yeah, just good, really good. I'll tell you what.
I know it's different because, look, Wout's older and he had experience. He played in World Cups and stuff like that. But if it's a question of quality, Erik ten Hag started Wout Weghorst at the new camp. I don't think he particularly cares about quality or anything like that. He cares about trust. If he believes that he can trust Facundo Palestri, then possibly he'll start. But as we said before, the options might be a bit more plentiful against Bayern because
Palestri against Alphonso Davies.
Why not?
Okay. All right.
Why not? If this was an international game, Palestri go on Palestri. Of course.
You're a guy against Canada.
Canada, of course, Palestri would face him. You'd be like, no problem.
Yeah. No, listen, I can't say it's impossible. And I can't not romanticize as a fan over what that'd be like. But I think that's a big ask. And I think there is, say, 0 to 40% chance, 30% chance of that happening.
Only
him
30?
Of him starting 2 games in a row. I'll probably go lower. Probably say there's a 20% chance he'll start the next 2 games in a row. I think. Actually, I think there's no chance. I think there's no chance. I think there's no chance. I'll say it now. Clip me. It's not really clippable, but come back to this if I'm proved wrong.
Right, it is clippable because if Palestri starts and scores in a Man United win at the Allianz Arena, he is not going to start.
I'll be falling over the stands, mate. So fair enough, but I think there's no. But I'm saying there's no chance he starts 2 games in a row. Maybe he don't start against Brighton, and he started against Bayern and scored. I'm saying there's no chance he starts Brighton, 2 games.
If he doesn't start against Brighton, he's definitely not playing at the Allianz.
There's no chance he's playing 2 games. He's starting 2 games in a row. I'm going to say. I don't think Ten Hag would do that.
I think it's possible.
Not for these, because of the level of opposition. I just don't think he would do that. I wouldn't mind.
I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised, particularly the second one. But at the same time, I do think that there's a possibility for him to do it if he starts at the weekend and he plays well. If he comes off 60 minutes and we go, yeah, it was a bit much for Palestri, then he's definitely not starting. He might not start a Premier League game again for United this season, frankly. He might be back onto that sort of bit part bench role.
Yeah, I think he will when he comes, yeah.
I don't know.
I think that will happen. Smash a like on the video. Yeah, it is. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Let's get some super chats out. Sanjit says, Ten Hag press conference will be fun this week. Anthony Sancho. Also just realized Maguire is also still awaiting a retrial for the thing in Greece. Bloody hell. Corey says, who's ready for KG this morning in 40 minutes? That's up to KG. What he needs to talk about, that's up to him. Aminor says, Weghorst scored yesterday from good supply from right wing. Yeah, he had a pop at people, didn't he, as well? Old Veggie sort of saying, people who want to, it's not nice for people saying that I don't score enough. Everyone wants 11 Frankie de Jongs.
Well, the thing is with Weghorst, isn't it? And first of all, I like about Weghorst. I think he's a nice guy, and I've always said,
oh yeah, it's always great when you start. What you guys footballer? Well, they're a nice guy.
I was going to continue the compliments because I think that I appreciate what he did coming in at the time that he came in. Right, we had no striker. Ronaldo had left. Martial was never fit, never. And then when he would play, he'd disappear again for 6 weeks. What's wrong? Don't know. Injury, unknown, brackets. And Weghorst was there every single week. He might not be good, but he was there and he put a shift in. And again, he played at the new camp for Manchester United and did all right. And in that sort of period of time, from when was it? Sort of January to sort of late Feb, when we were playing all right, he was involved during that time and he was there. And I'll always give him credit for that. He played in the Carabao Cup final. Was he a Man United standard player? Of course he wasn't. And he never should be. We should have never been in the position where we had to sign Wout Weghorst because we had no money. And that was kind of the situation I was talking about this past summer. When these incidents happen and you go, injury crisis or unavailable players, the standard of player you're turning to shouldn't have to be Wout Weghorst because you just got no cash. You've got nothing you can do. That's part of the problem. But I'll always appreciate him coming in, putting in an effort. It's kind of wild that as a striker, how many goals did he score? He didn't score a Premier League goal.
No, he didn't. He scored
I believe it might be 2.
One in the Europa League
and one in Carabao against Forest.
Yes. 2.
I think it's 2. So the argument that he doesn't score many goals is kind of not really. But what was kind of crazy is the season he was having at Besiktas, he was scoring goals. He was actually scoring quite a lot of goals. But hey, bless old Wout.
Old Wout, and what was he supposed to do? Like, he was brought in to hold the fort and just be available.
Yeah.
To be fair to him. And he started like 19 games in a row, something like 20 games.
It's like, are you any good? No. Can you play them every week? Yes. Bring you in.
You're in.
You know what I mean? That's what it's
like. Duma says, you guys work hard. Trust, we appreciate all you do. Thank you. Really appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, 100%. And Nem Green says, to get him ready for Bayern, he would have to play. I think he means Palestri.
Yeah.
Let's get on to the midfield plan. Because somebody asked earlier on, I think it was John. Big up if I've forgotten who it was. I think it was John. And saying, John was saying, are we playing McTominay in his wrong position? Just on the midfield plan. I know he's been on the periphery.
Wow.
Amrabat, we've obviously got to talk about him. Mason Mount, we've got to talk about him and all the rest. But can we have a conversation about McTominay?
Yes.
Not getting gassed because it's, he goes away with Scotland and look what he does. But you can't ignore things. And I'm not saying, he should be start. I'm not going to do a Ricky. Don't get scared. I'm not going to do a Ricky and say, it should be McTominay and Matic should never have left. It should be McTominay, Matic and Mata to keep the ball. And Dan James
from Japan.
I'm telling you now. Yeah, I'm telling you now. You got to keep them players to keep the ball. I'm not saying that, right?
Marshall off the left.
I'm not saying that. Big up, Ricky. Yeah. But it's just a question that somebody posed. I just want to talk about it and see what you guys think. Is McTominay being played in the wrong position when he does play? Is he not better when he is further forward? And can he fill in? Can he do stuff for us?
Well, first of all, we have over 1,600 people watching, just over 200 likes. So we can get that to 500 easy.
Come on, guys.
Easy. If you haven't already, click the like button.
Yes.
You asked the question about McTominay being played in maybe the wrong position, on the wrong midfield role, rather.
Yes.
I would tend to agree. The reason I would tend to agree is because people forget how he came through the Man United Academy, playing up front. He was a striker. And the only reason he was used as a defensive midfielder is because when Jose brought him through, I guess Jose just thought he's big, he's strong, he can play as a defensive midfielder. And then that was just kind of carried on, wasn't it, by Ollie and by, even to an extent, Ten Hag. We have seen Scott McTominay, when he plays further up the pitch, he does better. Like he looks more dangerous. And there have been, even last season under Ten Hag, a few times, wasn't it, the last like 10 minutes or whatever, McTominay, you see him playing as a 10, or certainly way more advanced. And
so he's played for Scotland, mate. He's playing like behind the striker, him and McGinn, tucked in as like two inside forwards.
Exactly. So I do sympathise with him, because I think he's a player that has been somewhat miscast for pretty much the entirety of his Man United career. And he's been criticised for being miscast in a role that probably he's not the most comfortable doing. He's just happy he's playing for Manchester United. When you're an academy player and you're told you're going to be in the first team, you don't really care where. You don't, well, okay, I'm a striker. You're playing you defensive midfield. Okay, as long as I'm playing, you know. So I think he has been a bit miscast. And I think actually it'd be interesting to see what would have happened had he left in the summer, had he gone to a Fulham or wherever he goes in the future, because it doesn't really look like his future's at Man United, does it? He'll probably end up going maybe in January, maybe next year. But if he does go to another club, it'll be interesting to see what role he plays, like positionally.
DJ,
you know what I mean?
DJ's in the chat. He's just put McTominay yawn. He's like, no.
You know what? The best thing I noticed that the thing is with DJ, yeah. The thing is, yeah, I'll say is, and you know me, Flex. The memory is working overdrive.
Oh no, DJ's got receipts.
I remember.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's you know what I'm gonna say. It was like the first full view we ever did, and I don't even think it was called the full view at that point. It might have been called something else.
DJ said, "Don't do it, Owen."
It was you, it was KG, it was me, it was DJ, and it was after that first game against Leeds at Old Trafford where we won. And he said that Scott McTominay reminded him of Steven Gerrard. And the reaction at the time, everyone went like that. That's what everyone did then. And he was playing then. So let's not get yawn. You were saying he was Steven Gerrard, Stevie G.
Hey, everybody just went, DJ, well, you can't say that.
Yeah.
What? DJ said, I'm going back to bed. Running emoji. He's gone. DJ's getting cooked. The streets don't forget, DJ. If you want to come with that, everyone's going to remember, big man. Everyone's going to, yeah, Owen definitely doesn't forget. Actually, I would have let you get away with that. I forgot. That just wasn't in my brain. But you see, with Owen, it triggers. Everything just clicks into gear at the right time. And you set off the trigger there. And he went and he remembered it. You did that.
And you remembered it as well, Flex. When I said it and I was going down that road, you went, I remember.
Yeah, straight away. I remember what I remember. Yeah. Because I remember going, what? I remember sitting in this very room going, DJ, who? Huh? You can't say that. So I mean, yeah, it was very reactionary. Very, very reactionary. So DJ's gone. He got Simbin. I paid my dues. Yeah, I think he did get Simbin that day. I think he did.
Never forget.
Yeah, that was a bad one. I mean, yeah, I don't believe McTominay is as bad as a lot of Man United fans make out. He's awful. Yeah. He can't do this. He's that. He's rubbish. He's this. He's that. He's not as rubbish as people say. I just think the role with us isn't the best. If he left Man United, if he was at Newcastle, if he was at Villa, if he was at, West Ham, he'd be one of the main players. He'd be really good. I do think that. He's not, yeah, he'd do well. I'm not saying he needs to start every game for Man United because he's our best midfielder. Ten Hag's getting this all wrong. I just think him and Fred didn't complement each other well, and him and Fred as a midfield two in a pivot just doesn't work. It can work against some teams, but we did win games with them playing. That's another thing. We act like we didn't win any games.
He's just not a defensive midfielder, is he?
That's just not a defensive midfielder. Exactly.
He's not a six. He's just not a six. And it's like he can do a job there. And as you rightfully point out there, it's not saying that. So you're saying Scott McTominay should start every game for Man United. No, so you're saying this.
It should be Amrabat. It should be Casemiro.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just saying that I think the evidence is there to suggest that during his United career, he has been miscast. He has been in a role that he shouldn't be in. And he's much better off in either a box-to-box or a more advanced role. Now, if he's going to be in that role, then he has a problem of there are better players than him in those roles at Manchester United. So he wouldn't get in anyway. But like you say, you point to other squads in the Premier League, whether they be West Ham, whether they be Fulham, even like at, say, a Newcastle, he would do better because I don't think he'd play like defensive midfield at Newcastle. He'd have been more of those more advanced players, box to box, and arriving late in the box, and would do better like a Newcastle. I thought when he was linked to West Ham, I thought that's the perfect move for him. It really is. Yeah. And again, that's not to replace Declan Rice, because if they bring him in to replace Declan Rice as that sort of deeper player, he will struggle because he's not that player.
Where's his best work? You've got to look at where his best work's been from. And I know people can say, oh, it's Scotland or it's against whoever, but like his best work is when he's higher up the pitch as a midfielder, either arriving late or having a little bit of license to be in and around the box. Same at Man United. When he's done best for us, it's not coming to get the ball off the back four and starting attacks and spraying the ball left and right. It's whether it's the physicality, and it's when he's higher up, like that Leeds game where we saw a little bit of it, like the Arsenal game where he took a shot. Did it hit off? What's his name? Not Kolasinac. What's that other centre half's name? It nearly hit off him, and he went in the top corner. He scored against Arsenal. Remember that? Someone will put it in the chat.
I remember last season. He took a shot. Last season, he scored a goal against Villa in the Carabao Cup, and it was a great Garnacho assist. You know, when he sort of flies it across the box. But what's he doing then? He's arriving late into
Mustafi.
The box.
That was it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's when a lot of his goals for United have been those kind of, like I said, late runs into the box, just outside the box, you know, those kind of, which again is more linked to like a box to box.
There you go. I remember the one he scored a really good one against Norwich. Kind of just, it was in and around the box, you know, zinged it, hit the bottom corner. Like he scored some good goals. He scored some good goals, man. So I just think his best work is done there. But it's how does Amrabat fit in, and when and where does he fit in? You know, I think we are obviously thinking of that kind of steel neck. Him and Casemiro, that's solid. Everyone's like, yeah, you know what? But we do still need it. It's kind of it would be going in a different direction with the midfield if you have those two in there as that, because Casemiro is not the best on the ball, and Amrabat is good on the ball from deep with time and space. He can pick some passes, but like on a technical level, they're not going to pass your head off, but they're going to give you more steel. They're going to give you more resilience and know where to be. Would we keep the ball better with Amrabat, Casemiro, Bruno versus basically not having someone like Eriksen in there? Is what my question is.
Well, my question to you was going to be, Flex. Yeah, we've got midfield options. Have we got midfield options? Because if everyone's fit, it is a bit of a dilemma, isn't it? Because you look at
good dilemma.
Okay, good dilemma for different games, you know, and different opponents. But you do, like you said, you have a midfield where you go, okay, because let's always assume Bruno. They always do the midfield free. Bruno's always starting. He's the captain. He's always you're really picking from two. There's two spots there you're picking from. So you've got
what's Casemiro, our best midfield? Put it in the chat as Owen carries on. What's our best midfield?
So you've got Casemiro, Amrabat, and then you go, well, what happens to Eriksen? What happens to Mount? You know, what happens to Kobbie Mainoo? You suddenly got three options there. We haven't even talked about McTominay. He's sticking around until January, so you've got McTominay there. They're options, and people, we do this all the time when we sign people, don't we? Oh, what's this going to mean? Is he going to be happy to sit on the bench? He's got to be. We need options. We've shown it last season. We cannot play the same midfield throughout the whole of the season because they'll drop off, they'll get injured, they'll get tired. What we do have, which I think is a real big positive now, is that we do have a lot of options for different games, different opponents, where maybe you're playing, I don't know, the sort of Luton at home, right? Do you really want to be playing Casemiro Amrabat? Do you need to do that?
Exactly.
Probably not. No. You don't need to do that in those games. That's when you can maybe play an Amrabat Mount, or a Casemiro and a Mount, or a Casemiro and an Eriksen, because you maybe need a bit more guile, a bit more creativity to break between the lines, something like that. In the big games, Man City away, who do you want your midfield two to be? Casemiro Amrabat.
That's what. And I think in them big games, it definitely will be that.
Yeah, but it also in those games, if you do need to adapt, if you do need to pivot, if you do need to change, you turn to your bench and you go, we could bring on Mount, who again might not be playing just as a central midfielder. He might be playing as a wide player. We can bring on Ericsson, who obviously can play deeper, but he can also play higher as a 10. We can bring on Kobbie Mainoo, who will probably play. Well, actually, he can do a bit of everything realistically. We saw in preseason, he was playing up points as a 6. He can play as a deeper 6, taking it off the centre backs and progressing it forward, or he can play more alongside in a sort of an 8 role as well. So suddenly we've got actually quite a lot of midfield options in that area to change, manipulate games, and just with the sheer amount of games we're assuming we'll play this season, we went pretty much through all last season. I know Fred and McTominay were there, but we knew our best midfield partnership was Casemiro, Ericsson. And if it was anything else, it was a drop-off. Now, would it be a bit of a drop-off of these other options? Maybe a bit, but I'm more comfortable. I'm more comfortable with how we can sort of change and how we can adapt in certain games.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. There's a lot of options. I mean, I'm looking through these comments here, and Casemiro, Amrabat, Ericsson, Amrabat, Mount, Bruno, Casemiro, Bruno, Amrabat, Kobbie Mainoo, Bruno, Casemiro, Mainoo, Bruno, Ericsson, Bruno, Mount, Amrabat, Casemiro, Bruno. It's crazy.
I like this one from Mon says, Flex, you haven't watched Amrabat, which is curious considering you went to every Morocco game at the World Cup in person.
He said that. I haven't watched him. Bloody hell.
Yeah. You haven't watched Amrabat apart from in person every single game.
Yeah, and I'm not. And look, that is, people can say that's international. That's a small sample size. There's been loads of players who have done. Yeah. Oh yeah, big up Monday. But listen, I'm not going to profess to be an Amrabat expert. I just got a personal feeling about him from watching him and seeing what he's good at in the flesh. But also, you guys know I love an eye test. I do love an eye test. I love a Vision Express. Yeah, I love a Specsavers. I love an eye test, right? And I like getting a feel for a player in like. There's one thing of just watching them on TV or whatever, but like even though it was a small sample size with the games close together and it was on a good run, just watching how he was, and then I watched him in Europe for Fiorentina. Once I knew a bit more about him and saw how good he was, I kind of had my eye, when Fiorentina were playing, especially obviously in that Conference League final. Every time I've watched him, he's consistently done the same thing, though. I will say that with how he is, how his attributes.
He beat Declan Rice in that final. There's you go back, and even the West Ham fans will tell you that. They'll go, you talk to Nicky Hawkins outside London Stadium, West Ham Fan TV. He'll tell you that he got the better of Declan Rice. That day.
Yes,
he did.
Yeah, and obviously, look, styles make fights, as they say in the boxing world. West Ham were a counter-attacking team. Fiorentina had some of the best possession stats in Serie A. I think they could have been second. I think they actually could have been second. So maybe the game was always going to go like that with West Ham on the back foot, which, look, clearly the tactics worked because there weren't much chances in the game. It was quite a low-quality game. But Amrabat was running it, and Declan Rice didn't have much impact. Now, that's not to say if we sign him the next time we play against Arsenal at home, Amrabat's going to put Declan Rice in his pocket. Declan Rice is playing in a far better team now, and it's different. It's different. But I just saw him physical, can get about the pitch, good on the ball, not just a meathead. And that's what I like, not just a Joey Barton or a Lee Cattermole just going around kicking people. The guy can play. The guy can play. And he can travel with the ball. I think if you want to just do a bit more, and I know it's highlight reels, but a lot of his highlights are sort of winning back possession and then running the other way with the ball and people just bouncing off him. And, like a bit of that Moussa Dembele vibe, Spurs Moussa Dembele.
Ooh,
strong, traveling with the ball. Yeah. In terms of traveling with the ball with some strength, some of those clips made me think of that. I'm not saying he's better than him. Not saying he's going to do that every game. I'm saying, huh?
Moussa Dembele was good.
Very good. Exceptional. And I'm not saying Amrabat's better than him. I'm saying he gave me...
Are you saying... Is that
yeah.
Are you
so you're saying he's the new Moussa
Dembele? We have signed the Moroccan Roy Keane. Is that what you're saying? That we signed this? Good.
That's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying he's better than Roy Keane.
Yeah, good.
I'm saying he's better than Roy Keane, and he's what Michael Carrick and Roy Keane wanted to be, but they couldn't because it just wasn't it.
It's impossible.
Exactly. But no, I do. He's just got some shades of attributes where it made me think, when you go, well, who's that remind me of? I'm like, oh, actually, that kind of players just bouncing off and they can't keep up with him. Bloody hell. Or, spraying the ball left to right, getting involved in a tackle, and just much needed, like you said, when we play them big away games at home and we just look a bit flimsy. You're like,
I like we've got options. Like I was saying before, I like that we've got options, that it's not just the same midfield pair every time, because we are not at that point. We're not at the point where it's like a Man City where it doesn't matter who we're playing, where we're playing. We play the same team, we play the same style, we play the same game plan because nobody can touch us. It's about them trying to stop us. For the majority of the games, hopefully that's what we'll be like. But there are some games where we just got to swallow our pride a little bit and say, look, we're not the better team. Yeah, we're not the better team, and it's going to be difficult to get a result. And we've now got options to get results out of those games. But also, like you said, at home, when you're playing teams that you just go, we're just struggling to break them down today. We're not creating anything. We're not doing anything. Ten Hag can look to the bench and go, I can bring on him. I can bring on him. How many times have we said, like even against Arsenal, turning to the bench going, what have we got? Not a lot. We don't. Hopefully, once these players are back and once they're ready to go, suddenly, like if you had a bench that had, Eriksen, Mount, Kobbie Mainoo on it that you could bring on in the second half.
Options, man.
That's proper options, and that's creative options as well.
Yeah, I agree. Super chats and members chats. Aminor says Erik ten Hag has not unlocked McTominay. Owen, question is why?
I think a lot of managers haven't, in fairness, and I think it's and it's just because he's better playing in an advanced role. The problem is the advanced role is the Bruno Fernandes role at Manchester United. That is it. So
now there's two that I know. He's basically created another one for there to be an advanced role in it with another midfielder. With how we're trying to play when we're trying to work that out. Diego being a member for 14 months. Big up to you, Diego. Says we're talking about practice. I'm not sure. That's a while ago. About 10 minutes ago. I'm not sure what. Yeah, but big up to you. Shahad says Amrabat and Bruno will offer a similar dynamic to Kroos and Modric for Casemiro. One a progressor and another a creator. Not comparing their levels, because people will say, so you're saying that Amrabat and Bruno...
Are you really saying?
Sahaj, you're telling us that Amrabat and Bruno are better than Kroos and Modric. That's what you're saying. And he says, not comparing their levels, just their profiles. Mainoo is a good Casemiro backup as well. That's exactly what Sahaj is saying.
I'm interested in Kobbie Mainoo when it comes back. I'm interested in that.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of players before him, but that's how it should be. Then you just bring the young kid in as and when you need. Put some experienced guys ahead of him. And he's got that in Mount, in Amrabat now. Also, McTominay's still here. And then we'll see what the plan is for Kobbie Mainoo. And hopefully she'll be back from injury really soon as well. It is Monday, Owen. And, we spoke about this Sancho thing so much. So much. But now is supposed to be the day when they're going to meet up and stuff like that. If I was just to press you and vice versa and you guys at home on how you think do you think by the end of today we'll have some kind of,
resolution?
Or Ten Hag spoke with waiting to see a journalist sort of chiming in, and do you think there's anything going to be happening today?
There might be reports, maybe. There might be some kind of reports. Erik ten Hag and Jadon Sancho had face-to-face talks today. The matter is considered closed and resolved. They have decided to move on. Sancho's involved in training, or Sancho's been fined. He's going to be training, blah, blah, blah. I do think we will hear something, whether it be official, whether it be unofficial, before the press conference Friday, so that it softens the blow for the questions that Ten Hag will get in that press conference. Ten Hag has got a mammoth press conference.
Oh, yeah, no, he's got
he really does. And again, I looked at the Ronaldo situation, not exactly the same, but when he did the whole walking out against Spurs thing, and it was, I think, that day before the press conference or a couple of days before, it was reported that, he was going to be fined or he was suspended. And so that when he was asked that in the press conference, he just went, it's been dealt with, sort of thing. So today, will we get something? Maybe reports. I'd be surprised if we got something like official, because I just feel like United just need to go a day without doing that at this point. You know what I mean? With everything that's been going on. So I think it might be relatively quiet today. And I don't know if the club will officially say, is it really necessary for the club to officially come out and say something? Probably not.
No, absolutely. No. What to say? Like, he's been fined this amount and this will happen.
Yeah.
No, they didn't even do that with Ronaldo, did they?
I don't think so. I don't know. I can't remember. They might have.
Ronaldo would be absent for. Ronaldo absent. Let's check.
Let's have a look. Ronaldo's
Owen, check for the receipts. Ronaldo, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they did. Let us know in the chat. I don't think they did. And I think we need to refrain from doing anything. Oh, they did with Ronaldo.
Well, there was a statement after, obviously, when he spoke to Piers Morgan.
Yeah, the Piers Morgan one. But I mean, the initial. Why did he get the game ban? No, it's for walking off, isn't it? It was for going home.
It was walking off.
Yeah, so it wasn't because of the Piers Morgan. They did it after the Piers Morgan thing because that was untenable. But I mean, the initial thing that with the Ten Hag.
Oh, wait a minute! They did release a statement, Flex. They might do it. I'm on Sky Sports at the moment. A club statement read, Cristiano will not be part of the Manchester United squad for this Saturday's game against Chelsea. The rest of the squad is fully focused on preparing for that fixture. So they did release a statement.
And that was it. It was short and sharp.
Yeah.
Did they do that because, well, obviously it's Ronaldo. It's Ronaldo. But this is similar where it ain't going to go like everyone's talking about
highest paid player at the club.
Yeah. So maybe they might need to do the same thing. We do love a statement, says Ed.
So, Jadon Sancho will not be available for the game against Brighton. The rest of the squad will be. Something like that,
Yeah. Why was a statement? Yeah, I would. But I think they do that because then it gives Erik Ten Hag something to lean on and say, there's been a statement. We've said what we need to say. Exactly. It's been dealt with. And he can just literally repeat that 5 million times. And then they go, there's no point asking him anymore.
Yeah.
But really, though, if you think about it, though, I know you see people on the thing online saying we've got more statements than wins, which is true. But really, I don't want anything more to come out in public from Sancho or Ten Hag. But actually, the quicker something like that comes out to say he won't be in the squad against Brighton, because they won't say the reason, but or they might even say following comments made on social media. He might not. Whatever they say, he just won't be in the squad against Brighton. The rest of the squad prepares for whatever a busy week against the quicker that can just get said, and so everyone knows what it is, the better. I think because a lot of people online are saying, Ten Hag just needs to forget about this, put the team first. We're player down. We need players, and Anthony's gone now. It's not fair on Palestri. You don't have to put Rashford out on the right. You don't want to unbalance the team. But I do think there's long-term situations that are bigger than that are for the good of the team. And I think one game, even if we're a bit unbalanced, I just think I personally want to see Ten Hag do the right, stick to his guns and do the right thing. Personally.
No,
I don't think I agree. Will be in that squad.
No, I don't think so. I don't think he will. I'd be very surprised.
Yeah, I'll be very. A lot of people disagree with me on that. I know a lot of people disagree with me on that.
You've got a Sancho agenda, Flex. Why are you so angry and aggressive?
Not at all. Now I've got a Sancho agenda, and before it was you don't want to speak about it because you're friends with Sancho. I can't win. So if I have a opinion back in the manager, they're going to say, "Oh, you just don't want Sancho. You've never rated him." And if I disagree with Sancho, they're going to say he spoke about the manager. Just because you see him at the press conferences, at the games, and he says hello and you have a chat, you just don't want to call him out. I've said what I think. I've said it. I can't say it any other way. But that doesn't mean everybody has to agree with me. Do you know what I mean? That's what this is about.
It's very strange. The word agenda, I think, is incredibly misused nowadays because, for instance, like Donny, Owen, you've got a Donny agenda. Now people are going, why didn't we sell Donny this summer? It's a disgrace. He shouldn't be here anymore.
Yeah, I know. You can't win. You can't win. But hey, listen, no, the point of talking about football isn't to win. It's a melting pot of opinions, whether you're talking with your friends in a group chat or face to face, or you do what we do and we're talking in front of, thousands of people every day doing this and in person. It's not to win, is it? It's to talk and then get spoken to back. That's how it works. But there you go. Did we 350 likes basically, 349 likes, and we had best part of 1,800 watching. I would say at one point. So on the way out, guys, you guys know what to do. Smash like on the video. But we will be back again tomorrow. With the latest news. If there's anything that happens on the Sancho thing throughout the day, of course, we will keep you up to date with that. If there's anything that happens in terms of Mason Mounts, coming back, etc., etc. Any news whatsoever, you know what we do. We will bring it straight to you. So we are out of here, guys. See you again very, very soon. Take care. Peace.